What up, YouTube? This is our UFC 267 Afterthoughts, I guess. We're gonna go through the main card, the main event, and kind of give our just first impressions of it. I
Yeah,
went back and rewatched the fights, just to let them sink in a little bit more. And I will say, stuff didn't look as crazy the second time viewing it.
yeah,
I think it was a pretty interesting fight card. We both said it was going to be dominant, and from the people we thought it was going to be dominant from, it was. And
yeah. I think everything on this fight card, except for the main event, was very easy to choose a clear winner.
yeah, the main event was the main thing for me. Um, I don't think either of us had Glover Teixeira winning. We
No,
both said he could win. We always say there's a fighter's chance for anybody, but you know,
I
if
didn't
we,
expect it to go like that, where he
yeah,
was. I mean, Jan was dominated.
yeah. But if you want to just start at the bottom, we had Magomed and I'm sorry, Uzdemir, and that was I honestly didn't expect it to go as far as it did. I don't know if you did, but
No. I thought that was going to be a finish.
yeah, I thought it was gonna be a finish.
Anyway. I mean, I thought Magomed would win,
Looking
but
at it, we see he had that first knockdown. I believe it was early in the first round. Outstruck him in every sense, head, body, legs, had all the control and had the one takedown. So I think it was pretty dominant from Magomed. It didn't look crazy though, especially from all that stuff he was talking before the fight. Like,
Mhm.
oh, I want to. I'm looking at the person I want to fight in front of me. He's the person that needs to be worried about. And then, well, you don't need to worry about him because Jean doesn't even have the title anymore. So
Yeah.
I don't think he's there yet.
I think what is he? What is Magomed ranked at?
He's
What's
probably,
his rank?
I think he was 10.
He definitely has the skill. That's a powerful dude. I mean, he's got the skill to get to that championship level. I'm just curious to know what his ranking is, which I guess it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. The rankings don't mean shit.
No, they don't.
He's ranked number 7.
Maybe he was 7 before. That number doesn't sound too off. Going to the most, you know, I will say this was the most dominant fight that I think I've ever seen. Like, I know there's been some out performances, but I didn't know this guy has more wins in the UFC than he's been punched in the
Yeah.
UFC. That's crazy to me. When I looked at
Yeah.
this stat, I have the stats up on the screen for everybody. And it's just honestly crazy to me to see that he threw 58 out of 62 total strikes, and the other guy didn't land a single one. And
Listen,
obviously
it
that
was
fight went very quick.
it was so quick. I mean, the amount of time it's for one, he picked him up, walked him over to
Yeah,
Dana
it
White,
was insane. One
talked
of
to
the
Dana
most
White,
insane things I've ever
landed him
seen.
on the ground, and then just went to fucking
Hmm.
making light work out of him. I thought he would win. I didn't know it'd be like that. Jing Liang, I think, was ranked like number 11, I believe.
He's no
Before
slouch, which is
no,
crazy. He's no
he's not.
slouch.
It's still it's hard to tell. I think that he obviously looks great. It is hard to tell where he's gonna go because you haven't seen him fight the most talented. So,
Yeah, and
and
that's with a lot of these
he's on
people.
route. But he's not gonna take the scenic route. He's going straight
No,
for the top
he
shit.
wants the top. He says, like, he's calling everybody. I mean,
He called
people were
out
saying
honestly. Well, go ahead.
I was saying he people are saying he called out Nate Diaz, but if you look at the question, the reporter was like, "Oh, someone said about Nate Diaz," and he was like, "Yeah, do you want to smoke Nate Diaz?" Like, he
Yeah,
was just saying like that in
but he
passing.
did call out Jorge Masvidal, which I
And
thought
I
would have
was
been
just about
a
to get
fun
to
fight.
that. I think that
I,
would be an amazing fight. But looking from what I saw,
I think he would.
you need to give him a good wrestler. You're gonna need to give him a good wrestler. And if I'm looking at anyone in that weight division that can actually stop him, it's probably just the top three.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Usman, Covington, or Burns.
Those are the only people I can think.
I do think. I mean, and we'll see after this fight with Jorge. I think Leon Edwards might be able to.
Maybe we'll see
The
how
only reason is,
Leon doesn't have the most amazing wrestling. He can wrestle, don't get me wrong.
well, it's not, but he has very good takedown defense, and
Hmm.
he is a very good technical striker. He's not going in there crazy. He is going to piece you up. He's going to try to win the fight with points.
Mm-hmm.
That's how he fights. That might be effective against someone like him. He wants to finish you in a spectacular way.
The only reason why I think Gilbert Burns gives even him a little bit of trouble because he's very strong. Gilbert Burns is very strong for that weight division.
Well, let's be real. I'd say at least top 5, maybe even a couple more than them. He's not carrying those guys around like he did with Jing Liang.
Oh no!
There's no possible way he can do it. He's not doing that. He ain't gonna do that to Jorge Masvidal. He's not gonna do that to Wonder Boy. He's definitely not doing it with Luka.
Wonder Boy's not a good matchup. It's just not stylistically. Like, I'll be real.
It's not a good matchup.
Wonder Boy would get destroyed.
I'm just going down the line. I don't know if he'd get destroyed actually, but I don't think. But he's not. My point is, he's not going to be able to do what he did to these other people, to those folks.
Yeah,
he's not going in there. He's not going to pick Wonder Boy up, slam him on his head. Yeah, it's not going to go like that.
No, he's not going to do that.
The
reason why I think he'd beat Wonder Boy is like you go into that fight as like I'm not striking with you. I'm gonna wait until I can take you down, and that's why I think he wins.
Yeah. Well, that's why Wonder Boy loses.
Mm-hmm. But that's why I think Gilbert Burns, Covington. We'll see how this fight with Usman and Covington comes out. I'm actually excited to see how Covington fights. I know you're a big fan. I'm a big fan of him, and he's been dominant in the past, but we haven't seen him fight in a while. So
I'm not a huge. I'm a fan. I want him to win.
You're a fan of this fight style, I should say.
I do, and I think he's entertaining to watch. But I think that I want him to win more than anything because it'll just cause chaos.
It would,
and I like that shit. Just like his name, right? It will. People will be so pissed and fucked up if Kamaru Usman loses, especially if Kamaru Usman gets finished.
No, I agree.
It will be crazy. So that's why I want him to win.
But wrapping up that fight, I think, what, it was 3 minutes, 16 rounds, and he got the rear naked choke. I don't even think it really should have taken him that long. It just came down to that.
It was dominant. Mean, there was no. I mean, he could have taken him out in a lot of ways.
Oh, I lost your video. That was weird.
It's still up on mine.
No, it just froze on my screen for a minute. But yeah, we get to the one heavyweight fight of the night. And not as exciting as I was hoping for, man. I was hoping for just some heavyweight fights. And I know this isn't the big swingers of the heavyweight, but he's gone against, some people. If you remember, he was beating Henry in what, I can't remember what card that was, but he was completely beating him, and then he came back, or Henry Lewis. He was completely beating him, and then Lewis knocked him out in the last 10 seconds.
Yeah,
he's a great fighter, and I think this is his downward slope because every fight that I've seen since, it just hasn't looked as good. He won the fight, but he just doesn't look as dominant as he once did.
Yeah. No, so this fight, I actually was driving home from work with it on my phone listening.
It wasn't a very interesting fight.
I didn't miss much, so. Yeah, I mean, I thought Volkov would win. I had him picked. If you remember, I think I chose a second round TKO. I thought it was what it was going to be. Didn't happen.
Yeah, went to decision.
I don't really know where Volkov goes from here.
Look at that heavy. Yeah, look at the.
I mean, where does he go,
bro? There's too many.
Gon just beat him, right? Because I think Gon was his last fight before this one. Derek Lewis beat him. Has he? I don't think he's fought Stipe. Maybe that is depending on what happens.
No, you don't give Stipe that fight. If Stipe decided to come back and fight, he's not fighting Volkov.
No, I don't mean right now. I'm just saying. I'm just thinking about. I'm looking at the list, seeing who he can fight. I'm just going line by line.
Give him John Jones shit.
Which is crazy that Stipe's number 2 and Gon's number 1 because.
Well, he won the belt.
I know he won the interim belt, but still,
yeah, that's literally the only reason why he's
realistically. Stipe should have fought for that interim belt.
It was just too. We talked about it when it happened. It was just the timeline shit, and this is how it always happens in the UFC when stuff like that happens. It's
still just kind of crazy to me that he was the champion. He got beat one time.
Well, and then remember, Gon was supposed to fight Ngannou. That was originally what they were trying to do, was Gon versus Ngannou. But then Francis said he needed more time to train. So they set up that fight, but because it made sense, because Derek Lewis was the last person to beat Ngannou, so it made sense, for the fight. But they originally were trying to set up Ngannou and Gon. game.
Yeah, no. I feel you. Which would have been. I'm excited for that, but we'll talk about it another day. But yeah, I just don't see where he goes because, like you said before that, he fought Overeem, um, which you know that's not the most impressive win anymore. I just don't see. I don't know who he fights. Maybe Rosenstreet.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
him. Tibero would be a good one too. Or you know who I'd like to see actually. You know what I think would be a good fight? Tom Aspinall.
Aspinall's nice.
Aspinall's a good
I
up
think
and
he's on a
comer.
win
He's
streak right now.
rising. He's on a win streak.
Hmm.
That would be a good test. Actually, I think that's more my
Yeah, he
pick.
just
Now that I'm looking
won. He won on that fight night with like Patty and Darren Till and everything. So that was his last fight. So I'm forgetting
yeah.
who is against, but yeah, he won that fight as well.
So I think that would be, but that would be a good fight. I mean, because Aspinall's ranked number 11 on this list that we're looking at. So, um, fight him, see, see where you stand, see if you deserve to be in that top five.
No, I agree. I agree.
Um, but yeah, so outside of that though, so we going on to one of the most disappointing fights was the
Yeah.
Dan Hooker fight. What do you
No,
thought, man?
my initial, I mean, it happened the way I thought it would happen, honestly. Like,
I didn't
what
think it'd be so quick.
I was hopeful, kind of like the next fight we'll talk about as well. Like, I was hoping Dan Hooker could come out and be some kind type of dominant. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted him to do something crazy because I thought he would understand that he needed to going into this fight. You know what I mean? And I
I,
felt like
I,
he approached it his same normal way, and
no,
that
I
was a
don't.
mistake.
I don't think it was Dan Hooker's fault. I'm gonna tell you what I think it is. I think Islam is extremely good,
Oh,
and
100%.
Khabib is extremely good who's coaching him. And I think that Islam is a very good striker. I
Mm-hmm.
think we were talking about a little bit. I think he will probably be better than Khabib because he's got the wrestling, superior wrestling.
It looked
Uh,
so
Grappling is amazing.
Khabib-like. I
Yeah. Oh
thought
my
I
god.
was watching him.
He
The
got that.
moment he got him down, grabbed his wrist, tucked it in, did everything. You know what I mean? I was like, oh
It was so
wow,
nice.
it's
And Dan Hooker, especially because against Dan Hooker, because I got to give it to Dan. He
he tried.
really fought. Yeah, he tried hard. He was fighting the whole time. I mean, he had him in some chokes and
Both
got
of
out of
his
it.
fucking arms were behind his back, dude.
And
He couldn't even
Dan
tap.
Hooker
He
didn't
couldn't even
tap.
tap.
He protested it afterwards. He was saying I didn't tap. Like,
Well,
dude, your arm is about to break in half.
the referee stopped it, but he
Yeah, it
couldn't
should have
tap
been.
to
Yeah,
give
it should have been.
to give him credit. He had one. He was
But
sitting on one arm, so
yeah. But my point of all that is, Islam is a very good striker, and I think that going out, he had a great game plan. He wasn't stupid. He didn't go out there and like, oh, I want to showcase my striking skills. He
mm-hmm.
said, Dan Hooker has one set of skills. He's a great striker. Let's take that away.
Yeah.
And that's what he did. He didn't even attempt to strike with him.
No.
He went straight, pulled him on the ground. It's kind of like when you have and Dan Hooker's not the best striker, but he's a very good striker.
Mm-hmm.
When they're going in there, like it's like, okay, I'm gonna try to strike with you. Like, why
I
are
mean,
you trying to strike with that?
he went
person?
toe to
Yeah.
toe with Dustin Poirier. That was an amazing fight, you know, with
Oh,
those
great.
strike.
I mean,
That was
and was winning at 1st.
mm-hmm.
And Dustin Poirier, I think, I mean, he is the best fighter in the division. He should be champion. But yeah, I think that he played it smart. He didn't go out there and try to do some like to showcase skills or to be, a lot of these guys, kind of like I was telling you with Sandhagen. Sandhagen fell in love with striking. He doesn't
Mm-hmm.
go as much to use his grappling anymore. Islam didn't make that mistake. Islam went out. He decided, hey, right away, I'm going to take him down. I'm going to get him out of here real quick. I'm going to submit him. It was all grappling, and you could tell that was his game plan. So kudos to them. Dan Hooker obviously has a weakness.
Yeah, I know. Well, like we've seen it, it just sucked. He lost to Dustin Poirier, who like you said is probably the champion and probably the best in the weight class, and then he lost to Chandler and his like premiere, right? That was his Chandler's premiere fight, I believe. So yeah, he came off those losses and he's come back and then he fought a month ago, got a good win. I give him credit. Not only I don't think he went into this fight, and I hate to say this, I don't think he went into this fight thinking he was going to win. Obviously, you're always hopeful you'll win. but I think he understood his life situation with the visa, having to go, couldn't go back. Might as well take another fight, train, and make some more money. You know what I mean? I think this
Yeah,
was more a career move than it was I'm trying to get the
true.
belt. But at the same time, if he would have beat him, he would have been, in line to be talking about, oh, hey, let's give Dan Hooker a chance.
Yeah. My thoughts on Dan Hooker is, so Islam, I think, Islam's gonna very soon gonna be fighting for a title.
Yeah, he already said that. He already said it.
Yeah, I think if you want my thoughts on what are gonna happen is because when is the? Do you remember the date for the Justin Poirier fight?
I don't think they've announced
Dustin
it.
Poirier? I think it's gonna be in December. Either way, I think what's gonna happen is Poirier is gonna fight Oliveira,
Hmm.
and then Islam will either fight one of the people that loses, or he's going to maybe do a different fight and then go to the title. I think
Yep,
Islam's definitely getting a title shot very soon. I think
I
he's two
agree.
fights.
I
So
agree.
I think it would be smart to let him fight the loser of those two. So if he can get past Poirier or Oliveira, I think it would be great.
What if you give
Or
him the winner
uh,
of Gaethje
Gaethje versus Chandler. Yeah,
Chandler? Yeah, I think
I
you
was
give him
about to say.
the winner of Gaethje versus Chandler. See how he does against that. Both of those dudes, Gaethje hasn't lost to anyone recently except Habib, so that would actually be very interesting. And I know how close Gaethje, not close, but how much respect Habib and
Yeah,
Gaethje have for one another, because Gaethje did him a solid. And so I wonder if he would even take that fight. You know what I mean? I think he
yeah, he
wanted to
would.
retire with Gaethje and everything because he didn't go into that as he didn't even really throw punches like that. He was really just trying to out wrestle him, trying to it really looked
Yeah,
like it was a respectful fight. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like I respect you as a fighter. I'm not
Was
trying to do
and
harm.
I think Gaethje or Khabib also knew. I think part of his retirement plan as well was knowing Islam was coming up,
Oh,
and
100%.
Islam.
Yeah,
Khabib would have never fought Islam,
yeah,
so I
100%.
think he cleared that room for him. I don't see Gaethje beating Islam. I think Poirier. I mean, Islam would have a real tough time against Poirier, and Oliveira.
Yeah,
I think
Oliveira. Yeah,
Gaethje.
that's what everyone says, right? That's
He's
what
not
everyone
going
wanted
to.
to see was
Yeah.
Oliveira and Habib, and
Oh, me too.
it
Because
never came
Oliveira, I
across.
think, would have gave Khabib the biggest
Yeah,
run for
so
his money.
as a in striking wise, I give it to Poirier, Gaethje, Chandler, maybe Chandler, Gaethje, depending on how you look at that.
I don't think Gaethje
even
has a.
though, even though, the champ knocked Chandler out, so it wasn't he didn't submit him like that. He was able to get in a
Yeah,
hit and then do everything. You know what I mean? So it was. He's got some power. Oliveira is no slouch when
yeah.
it comes to the
No,
punches either. But
I think that would be a very good even match. I think just that. I think Gaethje would be. I think he would beat Gaethje pretty quickly.
yeah, I
I
do
think it
too.
would be just like the Khabib fight because
I do
Gaethje's
too.
gonna try to stand. There's no way Islam goes in there.
Well, yeah, and you got
Just
to
like
think.
the Dan Hooker, he didn't go in there and try to bang with Dan Hooker.
Yeah. Well, and that's all I
Now,
wanted to get into with Dan Hooker is like I think that because I watched who did I watch? It may have been Chael. But they were talking about how he stayed in the U.S. and he went and trained at a different camp and everything. And he's like, "Oh no, I'm sorry, it was Bisbing. It was Bisbing who was talking about it." And he was saying how like in the past when he's done stuff like that, you learn these great things. He's like, "I learned when I had to do that. I learned how to escape from a rear naked choke during a random camp, and I used that as my escape for the rest of my career because it was just so effective." He was like, "If I'm Dan Hooker, I'm going to a camp right now." Trying to come in with a different mindset on how to beat this guy because you can't go in with your same game plan thinking you're going to beat this guy. And it looked like he came out there with somewhat of his same kind of game plan. And obviously, we didn't see much of it. It ended so quickly. But, I think if I'm a fighter in those situations when you might be outclassed, is you got to do some crazy stuff. You
yeah,
really do got to, Masvidal flying knee into the, stuff like that. You just got to little. Hold up. I don't know if that's my food or trick or treaters. Chill. It was my food, luckily.
yeah. I figured.
Well, I would have been mad if it was a kid.
Yeah. Fuck you. These kids just came to our door and took all the candy.
Did they really?
Yeah. I'll let you guess what kind.
Yeah.
But no, you made an interesting point though. You're just kind of getting what you're saying about the something crazy. I think that you had a good point about bringing up the Jorge Masvidal. That is a perfect example, like, because let's be honest, if Jorge Masvidal didn't come in like that and he would have just tried to
Yeah, I think
fight like he normally does, Ben Askren would have won.
Askren was undefeated. People forget that
Yeah.
going into that fight. He was undefeated going into that fight, and then obviously he lost. But
And then
like,
he fought Robbie Lawler,
yeah, I
who
think
Robbie Lawler has a very strong ground game as well. So it was much harder.
Did he lose that fight?
No, he won. But
Askren?
that was Askren won, but remember that was that
He got
that
slammed on his fucking neck, right?
He got slammed on his neck,
Yeah,
and then he
I
choked
remember
him
that.
out, but they didn't really choke him out, whatever. But that is a good point, though. I don't think, I mean, Jorge Masvidal can say whatever he wants, and yeah, that was a crazy flying knee. But if he didn't start the fight like that,
Oh, he trained
he
that.
probably would have lost that fight.
Yeah.
Because Ben Askren would have. Ben Askren is apparently also freakishly strong. He would have bodied him. And also, that took away, to be honest, I know Ben Askren is who he is now. He just lost Jake Paul, but he's still
It's a
done
lot
great
different.
things. I wish I could have. Him versus Khabib would have been an extremely fun fight.
It's what he was trying to get to. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? If you go back to when he. It all comes down to this. Dana didn't like him. That's really all it was. Dana just
He's a
didn't
boring
like.
fighter.
Yeah, he just didn't like the wrestling, and he didn't have. And I think that Ben Askren understood that, like, oh hey, Khabib is also a same boring fighter as I am. He's just more dominant. Let me be a Chael type of person right now and just be everywhere, right? Like then he'll gives me some type of notoriety. I'm the bad guy, or he was trying to be that. He's like, oh, think about it, America versus Russia. If you remember those press conferences back in the day and everything, he was fighting for Khabib before he even got to Masvidal.
It would have been great. It would have been great. But like you said, he threw a fucking hitch in there, man. He went with that crazy flying knee. Dan Hooker should have, but I think Dan Hooker came in too quick. I think Dan Hooker should have stayed outside, been a very defensive fighter. Like I told you, just try to piece him up, not go for a crazy knockout. But for Dan Hooker, though, I still think he has a long life in the UFC.
Oh, 100%.
I just think that he's not
He's
championship.
young. He's not old.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever going to be a champion though. But
No.
he still can fight really interesting fight. I believe Dan Hooker's probably going to be like a Donald Cerrone.
And honestly,
like a Cerrone, he's really fun to watch,
Mm-hmm.
but he's obviously gone downhill. He's older. He needs to retire at this point. I think he said he's going to try to fight one more time. But Dan Hooker's probably going to go that route. He's going to win a lot. He's going to lose a lot. He's just going to fight a lot. I think that he should fight strikers.
It's funny that you say that, because getting into our next fight, that's exactly what I'm thinking about Sandhagen right now. Like, all right, dude, they gave you Dillashaw, who was a former champion. You lost to Sterling. Obviously, you got your flying knee against Frankie Edgar, which was dope, But think about that, you lost to Sterling, you've lost to Dillashaw, and you've lost to Jan, who are all three champions, Sterling's champion right now. Dillashaw was a previous champion, and Jan's a champion. Over Sterling, in my opinion. So when you've lost in those fashions, you rear naked choke to Sterling. Dillashaw just 5-round pieced you up, but then Peter Yan 5-round pieced you up. And look at the scorecard; it was 49-46. No judge had it going Sandhagen's way. You know what I mean?
The first round I gave this.
Yeah, this is the first round, but and then
let's break it down real quick though, because I do have some thoughts on Sandhagen, but I just want to go over the fight first. So, just kind of like what we talked about, exactly what I thought would happen is Corey Sandhagen went out there. He did shoot for some takedowns. Just Jan's takedown defense is impeccable.
Really is.
But he tried to stand up with Jan, and I told you beforehand, I knew it wouldn't work because Jan is too superior. The first round, Corey was throwing a lot of shit, and Jan was eating it, and he was timing him. The second round, the first half, the same thing was happening, but then all of a sudden, Jan kicked it in. He started timing him. He had it all. He had it mapped out. By the third round, Jan knew everything he was going to throw. Right now, in Sandhagen's defense, Sandhagen still brought it the entire time. He
that
still
last
got
15
some
seconds was awesome.
even at the very end of the fight. He
No,
got rocked a couple times, went
I,
down.
I,
He
well,
ate a fucking crazy kick to the face. Just ate that
he
shit.
outstruck him. Like if you
Yeah.
look at the punch landed, I should say.
Mhm.
I have it right there. You know, obviously, Jan got the one knockdown, but total strikes, Jan 158 out of 280. Here's the crazy part to me, and this just is way more credit to Jan. Sandhagen strikes 172 out of 449. And given a lot of those were like just these quick. He's trying to get the elbow in. I think he was feeling it
Yeah.
out and then trying to get
Well,
the elbow in. You know,
to be honest, though, I think that Sandhagen came in with the mindset because even his coaches were saying it at first.
I didn't like what they
Stay
said in the 5th round, but
because they were trying. Well, at first, though, they were even telling him, "Hey, this, all because you lost that round don't mean anything. We're trying to win this round. Stay away from him." They were like, "Use that jab to get a body kick." They were trying to convince him, "Hey, you need to win by, you got to
they
piece him
said
up. You got to win
I
off
agree
the
that
start."
I would agree with that up to the 5th round, and I think that was bad cornermaning in the 5th round. I think they did a good job up to that point, but they said, "Hey, you got this." They basically made, if you rewatch it, because I rewatched the fight and I rewatched that 5th round, and I was like, and like the corner thing, and I was like, whoa, I didn't remember them saying it like that. And they were like, "Yeah, you got this. Like you just gotta don't lose." Basically, it was kind of like if you're as a fighter, he was like, "Well, what do I gotta do?" And they were like, he literally said, "Well, what do I gotta do?" And they just said, "Stay up, keep your distance, stay on the outside of him." And I'm like, "No, you need to tell him to go in, get after him, land punches. Like you're losing this fight." Like I think that was bad cornermaning.
I think again, the game plan should have been he should have. Corey Sandhagen has a crazy good gas tank. I know Jan does too. My personal opinion is Sandhagen should have continuously shot for that takedown.
Mm-hmm.
He should have did it more. He should have thrown that jab, threw that body kick, and then went for a double leg. You know what I'm saying? He should have tried to get him on the mat.
He went for 6
That
takedowns.
that was the best chance he had. Yeah, but I think there was a lot more opportunity. You could tell he was shooting for takedowns when he was getting hurt. Other than the first round or second round, whenever he did it. But towards the end, it was when he was getting hurt, he shot for that takedown, and Jan was stopping it. But if you're already getting rocked and you're getting pieced up and you go for that takedown, you're not going to be as effective.
Oh, true.
Like I said, in my head, he was using that jab good. He was throwing it like great body shots.
Jan's
He
counters
should have
were
followed
great.
it up. They were great. Well, it's because he timed him.
He's a great boxer.
Perfectly.
He's like with his little
so good.
T-Rex arms, he's fucking
No,
just
his
so
kickboxing,
amazing.
and he's got so much power, dude. And kudos
That
Sandhagen.
back-
I didn't know how he was
oh.
still standing up. That spinning.
He took some nasty
But
punches.
also Sandhagen, how many times did he throw that fucking flying knee? And one time it actually connected, but it's like, all right.
I understand, but it lets you keep some distance too, right? Like, okay, maybe now you're not coming in for some, where a lot of other fighters will use an uppercut, right? A lot of other fighters will use something like an uppercut, so you're not trying to come in as much. I think for him, he just naturally is throwing a flying knee. And to give him credit, in the 5th round, I feel like that's when you don't expect it. You know, when you're like, okay, he's thrown 4 flying knees. I'm not expecting, and then look what happened. He got hit with the flying knee, at the end of the fight. So it's like, yeah, those first 4 didn't do shit, but hey, when it actually counted, like he tried, and it did land.
I mean, he got some. It landed. It wasn't the cleanest. If it was clean, it might have. But I just
Same with that kick.
Again,
That's spinning.
I knew what was gonna happen. But in his future, obviously we know Jan's right. Jan is probably going to be the champ. He's going to go on to fight Aljamain. He's going to take his belt back.
Yep.
And I think Jan will probably keep that belt for a while. But Sandhagen, I don't know yet if he's going to be a Cerrone, or I would liken him more to Tony Ferguson.
Sure.
Just because he's got that toughness that Tony Ferguson's got.
Yeah,
He's got that mindset. I would liken him more to that. And I think that just like Ferguson, he grew and he was undefeated for a long time. But Ferguson takes all tough fights. And I think that's how Sandhagen's going to be. And that's going to be his downfall.
I think for Ferguson, at one point in his career, he probably could have been champion because they tried to set up that Khabib fight. They tried to set it up that like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, but when they were supposed to fight, there was a strong chance Ferguson would have been a very tough fight for Khabib.
I agree. So there was a chance at one point in his career he probably could have been champion. And I think
I think that about Sandhagen.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm not saying this is his peak.
He still is very young. And I listened to, I forget who I was listening to. They were talking about they knew his coaches, and they talked to his coaches, and they were basically saying, that he's still learning so much thing. They said that he in the gym he will beat guys 50 pounds heavier than he
Yeah.
is.
Well, he's
And they
big.
said
He
the
can be big.
problem is when he gets on the stage, he said it's like he's still trying to learn that part. And I know that there's a big difference, especially when you're in that spotlight fighting all the best guys in the world.
Yeah.
And I still think that he has a chance. I just knew it wouldn't happen now. Just like I told you, with TJ Dillashaw coming off that long hiatus, that suspension, and like not being able to beat him, I didn't have a lot of hope for him beating Jan, but I do think a couple of other fights. I think he needs to fight probably some lower ranked guy. When I say lower, I mean not the
5 up.
top fucking
5 up.
five. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
You
and
know,
going into this fight, if you go back and rewatch the last episode where we talked, like I had the most hope into Sandhagen, and I thought he'd win based off of what I saw against Dillashaw. What I saw against Dillashaw was like I was hopeful for. Like, yeah, you didn't win the fight, but you came very fucking close. You just had to understand that you needed octagon control because he was getting backed up the whole time against TJ, and TJ would get him against the octagon. So he had I don't think he had any time of control during that fight. It all went to Dillashaw, and I don't think he really did that as much into this fight. I'm just basing it off of what I saw against Dillashaw, what I thought he would have improved going into this fight, and no discredit to him, he looks amazing. He's an amazing fighter.
Yeah.
I just don't think he made enough improvements to be champion.
yeah. I think to be honest with you, I think he should fight Cody Garbrandt.
Yeah, I want someone to fight Cody. Like, oh
I
no,
think that'd be a good
no, have
fight
him
for them.
fight Rob Font. Rob Font's about to fight Aldo. I think Rob Font's about to fight Jose.
Yeah, he is.
So
but
give
I
him the winner of that.
Yeah, I don't know. I still think he should do a tune-up fight. I think he needs to get a couple more fights before doing that.
True, but
In
if
my personal opinion.
Rob
Now,
Font,
what he's going to do, that's something that's, knowing
I think Rob Font wins.
Dan Hooker, Aldo, I don't know. Aldo's coming. I mean, he looked really good last time. I think he's got.
Oh, I don't. Aldo's Aldo, bro.
I'd honestly, if there's any champion I would like to see become champion, it is Jose Aldo. Again, like to reclaim that. If he grinds all the way back up top and then becomes champion, I don't think he will. But if he did, that would be. I mean, I would be really happy for him because a lot of people talk about the GOATs. Jose Aldo, people seem to forget how fucking dominant he was.
People are so, I don't know. I feel like, don't get me wrong, I got out of the UFC for a couple years. I stopped watching it as much, but that was more so life than me not loving the UFC. I feel like people forget these dominant fighters and these dominant champions. People forget about Mighty Mouse, and people forget about these crazy people that had these long runs and
better. Like when people always compare him to Khabib and like John Jones.
Yeah.
No, like Aldo had 7 title defenses. Khabib had what, 3?
Mm-hmm. Bro, Mighty Mouse had 8.
Yeah, and Mighty Mouse was a fucking superior fighter. And you look at people like
I can't even remember how he went out. How did he go out?
He started losing.
I'm trying to think of like who he lost his title to. I can't remember off top. We don't have to look it up or anything, but once again, like, I feel like people forget about those moments. But then that's when you see the rise of other people. If you remember that season of The Ultimate Fighter, I can't. Maybe it was Kajuto. Yeah, I think it could have been Henry. Yeah, it may have been Henry. But if you remember that season of Ultimate Fighter with Mighty Mouse, they got all the champions from like every other division. Don't get me wrong, some good people came out of there. A champion now, Marino, came out of that season or whatever. So but it was just so funny to see like, yeah, this dude's so dominant. We have to find people from other fucking champions from other places because we have nobody right now that can beat this guy. And
like, he's doing really good in Bellator right now.
Yeah. I want that type of fighter again. You know what I mean? And I know we see it with certain people. I actually thought Jan would be that type of fighter. Peter Yan. I thought he would.
I still think he might.
And given, there's so much beef between Aljo and him still. It's so funny to watch it unfold.
I think Peter Yan is going to beat the shit.
Yeah, I do too.
I think he is going to destroy him. He's gonna. The only chance Aljo has is knowing that Peter Yan's gonna come in there and try to fuck him up. If he can just get him down and just like
Bro, I
try
don't
to,
know.
I don't think he can get him down. I
I
don't think.
told
I
you.
mean,
I told you what I think, dude. I sent you that text after everything because I was watching his tweets. You know, I was seeing what he was saying, and I was like, I don't know, dude. This seems like talk. This doesn't
it is
seem
tough.
like it doesn't seem
It's
like you want
what
it.
it seemed like to me is that a guy. I think he's very insecure.
Mm-hmm.
From what I've read, I think he talked a big game, and he's like, he said something about seeing my children fight, and it's like, dude. All right, yeah, you beat Sandhagen, right? But let's be real. You were getting your ass beat. You submitted him. Good job. You
He
still
does
won.
give a lot of credit to Sandhagen. Like he
He does,
respects
but
Sandhagen.
when
Like
he said like my kids fighting and stuff, but then you look at Young. They're like, if I was him,
he
I'd be
didn't
like,
lose to
hey,
Jan. He got
yeah,
disqualified. You didn't
yeah,
win by you
no.
winning.
And
He
they
lost
showed
because he got
clips again
disqualified.
from when it happened, dude, and like it's so cringy. Like when
Oh,
he's on the
dude.
ground, he's like, when he's like this, he's trying to get up, and he's like, like what are you talking about? From like Ben
Adesanya even made
Askren
fun
took
of
the
him.
craziest knee in the fucking world and got up and doesn't even remember it, but got up and walked out and went to the hospital. And like, yeah.
Bro, it's
But
crazy.
I think that Aljo, what the problem is Aljo knows this. Aljo knows Peter Yan's going to win in his mind.
So what do you think?
And
I
he's
want to
gonna-
know what you think. Do they fight? Do they actually fight? You think they fight?
I think they're going to fight. I think that one or two things are going to happen. I think either they're going to fight. I think when I text you, I told you, I think they're going to fight. I think Aljo is going to have another fight. I believe. I would like to see the Corey Sandhagen
You
and
got
Aljo
it.
fight
That's
again.
what you would do.
And then the reason is because what's going to happen, and this is Corey. This is why I think Corey Sandhagen doesn't need to fight a Rob Font or anything. I think he needs to do a Dillish or like a Cody Garbrandt or even the Sterling. TJ Dillashaw is going to fight Peter Yan. There is a good possibility that Dillashaw can beat Yan.
I agree.
I still give it to Peter Yan right now.
I do too.
But
Dillashaw's
I think
got
if
good
anybody
defense too.
out there has an opportunity to has the skills to beat him, it's Dillashaw.
I agree.
If Dillashaw wins the championship, Sandhagen will fight for the championship again. I don't think if Jan keeps the championship, I think it'll be a while before we see him do a rematch with Jan, if that ever happens. If Dillashaw does, he had a very decisive decision, right? Because a lot of people gave him that fight against the guy that is the champion. If Dillashaw wins, I think it's a given that he will fight Dillashaw again. So if he can go in there with a little more skills,
I can see what you're saying. He needs to keep putting on wins. And if he wants to remain at the top, and he's no slouch either. Once again, he wants to fight great fighters. I don't think he's trying to take fights outside of the top 5 like that.
No,
I think
and that's what I said. I think it's there.
If I think that I can actually become champion again, if I'm Sandhagen, the only 2 fights I want are Rob Font or Aljo or Peter if he loses, which I don't think he does. You know, those are the only 2 fights I would want at that point. You know, do a Covington. Fuck it. Just act like Covington. Be like, nah, dude, I'm going to chill until I get another title defense that I haven't earned.
He won't. No, he won't. I think that'll be more of his downfall than anything else. I think if more fighters played it smart, just like people give him shit for it, but Sean O'Malley's an elite fighter. Now, can he be champion? I don't know. Maybe.
Probably not. Not right now.
Probably not. I mean,
Not in
he's
that
not
weight
beat.
class,
I don't
yeah.
see him beating Jan.
No.
You know what I mean?
I don't see him beating Sandhagen right now.
No. But he could. He's still very, because what is
Yeah.
he, 24, 25, something like that?
He's young.
He's a superior striker. If he could touch that up, he could be like a Israel Adesanya or a, I would liken him more to, I know it's a big jump right now, but like a Anderson Silva. Just a dominant fucking striker.
I always thought that he was eventually going to move up because he was so young, and I thought his body would develop more strength-wise. And I think he probably could have trained, but I thought he would have been a great lightweight. You know, I thought he could have moved up a weight class and been a great lightweight. But you look at the people in that weight class, and I think he would get destroyed by most of them as well.
I think so. I think
both of those weight classes are pretty stacked.
They are. But my point to all that is, though, he's doing a good job because right now I don't think he could win. Could he in the future? Yes. But he's like, why would I fight those guys, get paid the same money? He's taking fights that are easier fights for him. He's honing that skill.
And still getting
smart.
main card. And
Yeah,
still
and
getting
he's
main cards.
smart. And he's smart. He's the money fight. And honestly, everybody goes for that championship too. And to be honest,
How long till we see Patty and Sean? That I think just because it'd be fun to watch. Like
it would
it'd
be fun to watch. I think it'll be a while. If you want my honest opinion, I think Patty wins.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Patty gets punched though. Patty takes punches, you know.
But Sean O'Malley doesn't have a lot of power.
No, he doesn't.
Sean O'Malley gets his knockouts from volume. Because he is very good. Like when he hits people, he will hit them in the same fucking spot 10 times in a row, and that's how he gets them. But it's not from power. And I think Patty's got a fucking chin on him. Even though now he's kind of jinxed himself because he's like, Scousers don't get knocked out. Like I was thinking, you definitely get knocked out now.
Darren Till lost.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
They're from the same area.
That's true. But yeah. So anyways, I think there's still a future for Sandhagen. I just
all right. I respect it. I'm not counting him out. I just, off of what I was saying before, you know, I gave him the credit. I gave him a lot of credit from the Dillashaw fight, and I thought I'd see changes going into this fight. It didn't seem like he changed too much. It seemed like he was trying to beat himself, and that's fine. Maybe he thought he could win that way, but against these type of strikers,
yeah,
I think it's different.
Peter Yan was just superior. Peter Yan is a gifted fucking striker, and like, I don't know, it was crazy, especially because he's got that high guard, and like Sandhagen should have just kept going to his body and did what I said. I mean, I'm not a coach.
Yeah. So let's go into the last fight.
Yeah, big shocker there.
The biggest shock of the night, in my opinion. And good on Glover Teixeira. You know, you love to see it.
I like a good story, and for Glover,
I didn't know his story till this past year.
Yeah, for him to be, because I think he was talking to Dana White afterwards, and he was talking like in 2004, I came to you and told you I was going to be champion. And he's 42, and that's crazy. You think about 2004.
Yeah, he's talking about how he was supposed to be on like the Ultimate Fighter back then, and the people that came out of the Ultimate Fighter that season that went on to do other stuff and everything. So yeah, he was like, I should have been, you know. And then he didn't even get into the UFC until like 2012. So 8 years after that fact, you know. And then now it's taken him 10 years to get his belt. So it's kind of crazy.
And he fought, and he got to, you know, he's a contender. And then he beat him, you know, and he didn't just beat him too, he dominated him, really.
Yeah, I mean that first round, it was pure domination. That whole first round, like there was nothing that Jan did to even score a point. You know,
Jan didn't look great. I mean, he looked off.
I'm glad that the announcers were saying it as well, because I thought the same thing. You know, I thought that when he was so worried about the takedown in the beginning, that like. You saw him when Glover went in for that first takedown, and then, you know, like it was just so easy. He got back up, and it was just like super weird. You know, I don't know. He seemed off about everything. And he says his jaw wasn't hurt or his neck wasn't hurt. I think his neck was fucked up. Like maybe not before the fight, but something during the fight happened, because you would see when Glover would get his head and start pulling up, because Jan would be locked in, like trying to keep Glover from moving. So he had both of his legs wrapped around him. And then when you get in that position and you start pulling up, it pulls a lot of tension, right? So I don't know if he hurt his neck right there, hurt his jaw, but he freaked out. Like you saw him freak out every time it would happen. Like he immediately would reach up for the arms and everything, like to get it done. And that doesn't happen. You know what I mean? You don't freak out like that for no reason. You don't just immediately jerk up. I think something was wrong with his neck or his jaw. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was just a very uncomfortable position. But either way, it seemed like it messed with him mentally enough where Glover he dominated the first round. Jan was like, all right, I'll give you that. I gave you that round. Next round's mine. And then Glover was like, no, I'm going to put you against the fence. He pulled his leg, you know what I mean? Got him to the ground. And then with just a little bit of time was able to tap him out. But when you look at oh yeah, he rocked him first. Yeah, for sure. You know, that was a nasty punch. But when you look at the choke, it wasn't like it was super deep. It was more pressure to the chin. It wasn't like it was under the neck. Super quick. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I feel like there was something wrong with the chin or the neck there for him to
I can see that.
React the way he did.
So it was like a shocker. If you want my honest opinion, I think really good for Glover. I think that he deserves it. I believe what'll happen next, he's going to fight Yuri. Yuri's going to beat him, and Jan will never hold that title again. Is my honest opinion. I think Glover is going to lose that title, and then he might fight a couple more times, but he's 42, and then he's going to retire, get some of at least a little bit of that champion money for now. I think Jan's going to remain a top contender, and we're probably going to see him start losing more. And,
yeah, I go back into
if he gets a title shot, he's not going to beat Yuri. I highly doubt that.
No, that's his. I think that's his only Achilles heel right now, and he just lost to Glover. I don't think he loses to Glover twice. Jan. And then you look.
Glover fight him
again. No, I'm just saying. Look at anyone in the top 5, right? I'm gonna just say top 5 because hey, he was just a champion. He'll be number 1. Yuri will probably be number 2, or they'll flip it just because there is no actual interim title.
He'll
or
be
anything.
number 1.
So, like he's still a top 5 fighter, right? Who outside of Yuri does he really have a problem with? I don't really see a fighter right now in that weight division that's just giving Jan problems. Like, can he lose? Yeah, he could lose, but I don't.
But because I don't think it's going to be that he's getting crazy problem. I think he's just going to start diminishing. He looked different.
He did look different.
He's 38 now.
You're right, and you could either take that as a positive thing, and you go into the right direction.
I see it affecting me. I think I see it going downhill. I see him. I see him just. To be honest, I don't think he beats. Let's see who's in here. I don't think that he beats Reyes again.
I personally think he beats Reyes.
I think
Reyes hasn't won a fight in a minute. Think about that too.
You know that, but I think that we'll see when we see Jan fight next. But I just seeing Jan this last fight, maybe something was really off.
And then we'll talk about it now. Like, what do you want? What would you want for his next fight to be?
I don't think he beats Anthony Smith.
I think you give him Anthony Smith. Anthony Smith's on a win streak right now. Jan's just coming off a loss. Reyes is losing. Reyes hasn't won yet, so I don't think you give him Reyes unless you match Anthony Smith and Reyes.
Oh, I didn't mean. I'm just going down the list. I'm just saying.
No. I'm just saying, like, give him his, because he said it in his presser afterwards. He's like, yeah, I'm probably gonna. He wants the title. Jan said he wants the title again. He's like, I'm 38. Glover's 42. I still have time. He's like, I'm gonna have to fight a couple more people. So like, it was his first fight. I think you give him Anthony Smith.
But here's my thing though, and this is I agree with you, but I don't think he beats Anthony Smith. I think he loses that fight. And then I think losing 2 in a row, I don't think that we'll see that same Jan, that Polish power come out. I think that he'll start going through this top 10 again, and I think he's going to lose. Like I said, I think that Dominic Reyes, even though he has lost, keep in mind his losses. Like his last fight was against Yuri, and Yuri is a fucking crazy fighter.
No, 100%.
So I can't really take away from that. I just don't see him being it. I think Thiago.
I don't remember the last time Thiago fought though. That's the only thing with Thiago. When's his last fight? I can look it up real quick, but I just can't remember his last fight.
Yeah, it was Walker. It was that one at the beginning of the month. I thought so. Or he beat Walker.
I gotta look at his sure dog. I'm trying to figure out it. Yeah, the Walker fight, but Well, I don't like Walker personally.
Yeah, that was a pretty boring fight, though.
So yeah, he lost 3 before then. Obviously John Jones, but then Glover Teixeira and Alexander. I can't say his name. Walker. I don't think he's that great of a fighter. I think he was a hype fighter, honestly. If personal opinion. So like that win over him, I don't think is like crazy or anything. But he does have a win over Jan. So if you give him, so if you give him Jan, I don't think that's a bad fight either. Because then it's like, hey, this is one of the last people to beat you as well.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think that. I don't think he'd lose that fight.
I don't disagree with anything you're saying. I just hope that Jan can still have that championship mentality.
Just watching him, I have a feeling.
It was weird. Like it was definitely weird.
Part of it's also his age. At 38, how many adjustments can you make? Obviously, it's possible. Glover did, right? He just did it at 42.
Glover stayed true to himself. He didn't like change. And then if you listen to it, he's only trained for Jan the last year. You know what I mean? Since his last fight. Like he was supposed to be uh, he started training for him during the Adesanya fight. That's when he started training for Jan. You know, so he's been training for Jan this whole time. You know what I mean? So he's had time to get to know what he was going to do.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just, yeah, I just see a Dower thing, and I think Glover, like I said, I think he loses to Yuri, and I think that he will probably fight a couple more fights and then be out.
Yeah,
I think that's.
I think
I won't see.
Glover loses this next fight to Yuri, which we're not even sure if it's gonna be him. Like we wanted it to be, but all the news people at the presser were trying to get it out of him, get it out of Dana.
I mean,
Now,
it's got to be. I mean, Glover.
yeah, but
Yuri.
he said some. I don't think he's ready to. The only, I don't think Glover fights yet. And you said May, right? Or he said May, right? That is when he'd want to fight again. But I think he's trying. I think he'd put on like an interim belt or something before that time. It's just like, dude, chill out with this fucking bone, bro. I don't even know how you keep getting it. Go lay down. Go lay
Well,
down.
I mean that's possible. I mean, if they did a, who would you do as
Yuri
the
and
title? You want to? Would you do Jan, or would you do like a Ray kick?
yeah, true. I don't know. I think you do the number 1 and 2 right away.
Well, that'll be Yuri and Jan.
Jan didn't get, fucked up. He took that one punch and that was pretty much it. You know what I mean? Like it's easier to come back from just being choked out. He'll be
No,
ready
no,
before May.
no,
You
no,
know
no,
what I
yeah, no,
mean?
I agree with you. My point is, it's like that'll be a quick thing for there. But I think if that happens, that's going to cement what I'm saying is because I don't think that Jan beats Yuri, and I think that's a definite loss, which we were talking about before. I don't think Jan, if he would have fought Jan, even Jan at peak, I don't think could beat Yuri.
No, I
We'll
don't either.
see, but I think Yuri's a superior fight. It's like
Yeah.
striker,
No, I agree.
and I think that if he fights Yuri, he's gonna lose, and then where does Jan go? If Jan loses against Yuri and then Yuri goes and fights Glover, win or lose, what does Jan do? You know,
He,
Jan's not going to fight for the championship.
no, but you'd still be fighting people in the top 10 or whatever. But
Maybe fight people in top 10, but again, I don't think
no, but
he's as
this is his
dominant.
last chance, right? So I think I don't know. In that perspective, I'm looking at it as a person who's trying to put on fights, right? If I'm Dana White as a person who's trying to, because like you said, it doesn't matter what number you are. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't matter. Khabib fought what? I think he was number 10, number 11 for the belt. You know what I mean? Like that one was dumb. So like it doesn't matter your number. They'll pretty much give you somebody. But if I'm trying to put it on, I'm gonna take the number 1 guy who just lost the championship, Jan, who all he'll have to do is train. And I think stylistically, that's his biggest opponent. You know, to Yuri, I don't think there's anyone else in that weight class that puts up as much trouble to Yuri as Jan does.
I agree because I don't think anybody in that weight class can put up a lot of trouble for Yuri.
Exactly. I think he gives
I
him the
think I
most
think
trouble.
I believe Yuri is going to win that championship and be
I
a
do too.
dominant champion for a while.
I think he wins it come next year,
We'll see what
springtime.
happens, but I think if there was anybody that actually could beat John Jones at light heavyweight, it's Yuri.
Yeah, and the Yuri's kind of playing it smart. At first, he was saying he'll take a fight, but now he's coming back and being like they'll wait. They don't mind waiting.
Yeah.
And that all goes on like, what's your camp? What's your money like? You see a lot of the times when fighters don't have the money to keep up training camps and do all this stuff that they get pushed towards another fight. But luckily, the UFC pays people a little bit better nowadays, so they don't have to do all that. That was a big problem back in the day, though.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean he's definitely going to be a smart fighter. I just think he's going to be a dominant champion one day.
I agree.
Um but yeah, so that's it's going to be interesting to see what happens in that weight division. I think that it's probably good because to be honest, I think it's a boring weight division right now.
I'll be real. I think all the light heavyweight division is the most boring division right now, and people like to say that about the lightweight division, but I think the lightweight division is one of the
Yeah.
most exciting. They just say
No,
there's a lot of controversy in the lightweight division, and I get that point. Um,
still, you look at the people that are in the lightweight, Oliveira, like this is just the top 10. Oliveira, Gaethje, Poirier, Poirier is actually number one. Dariush, he's a very good fighter. Don't get it
He
wrong.
won that last fight, but
Yeah. Michael Chandler, which is an exciting fighter to watch. I know he's newer. Islam, who I believe is going to probably be the champion one day. You got Dan Hooker, which he's fun to watch.
we
Tony Ferguson, fun to fucking watch.
haven't seen him fight in a
Dos
while.
Anjos, Conor McGregor, who obviously is going to be the draw for a long time.
He's got one more fight on his contract.
Mm-hmm. Damn, Conor McGregor's ranked number 9. You know who should fight Conor McGregor is Dan Hooker.
I don't think Connor fights that fight. I
want to see Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler.
I was just about to say that. I was literally just about to say, who is the money fight? Because Connor's not on any. I'm not going for a championship now. He wants the money. He wants the name. He wants the.
Well, I think in his head, he also is still wanting to go for a championship. I just don't see it happening. I
He
don't
can't
see him
win.
beating, I don't see him beating Oliveira. I don't see him beating. I mean, Gaethje, he could beat him maybe, but I think that Gaethje's gas tank will win that fight. I don't think he's going to be able to put Gaethje away. Maybe. I mean, Gaethje's been finished before, and even Poirier came out and said the hardest puncher he's ever fought was Conor McGregor every time. He
Really?
said you could feel. Yeah, I was watching an interview with him. They asked him,
That's pretty.
"Who's the most powerful puncher you've ever fought?" And he said Conor McGregor. He said all 3 times. He said every time Conor connected clean, he said you felt it.
Well, that's kind of, they give each other compliments because Connor said that Dustin has the hardest leg kicks that he's ever felt. So
yeah. And Dustin Poirier is always very honest. Like he even talked about Khabib and him. He's like, yeah, he's definitely not the strongest.
Bro, you
person.
listen to his interviews,
like,
you listen to him talk. Dustin is just a very straightforward, down to earth guy. Very, you can tell there's things behind closed door. Respect it. That's family, whatever. That's his stuff. They like to keep behind closed doors. But everything else, he's super open about. And I love him as a fighter. I think he's a great person. He'll be an awesome champion.
I think definitely. I think he's going to beat Oliveira. I think he's going to be the champion. But
I think it's his hardest
fight. Oliveira, you can't look past him.
No, you can't. Because Chandler tried and got rocked. It's still my top clip on Twitch. It's still like one of my top clips on Twitch.
Yeah.
Is my reaction to Charles Oliveira winning.
No, I think that it is I think probably lightweight's probably the most interesting. I still think that, middleweight.
I was about to say middleweight.
Is very interesting, but the problem is going to be Israel Adesanya, if he keeps beating people like he is, he's going to come into that kind of like John Jones-esque thing where people don't even want to watch him anymore because they just know he's going to win. Like there's no real competition for him.
Him getting beat by Jan helped that narrative. Be like, okay, he's human, right? He can be beaten. So people, and he's only what? Has he even had a fight since then? No, that was his last fight, right?
No, he fought Vettori.
Oh, yeah, true. My bad. So he had Vettori. But yeah, Vettori, I didn't think he was like a top fighter just yet anyways. But yeah, you're right. As of right now, I don't think there's anyone that comes into that division outside of Whitaker that has even a chance.
But that's my thing. If he beats Whitaker, then what? You have some fights that'll be fun to watch. It'll be fun to watch him and Sean Strickland. It'll be fun to watch him and Darren Till. Because he still even says that Darren Till is the number one fight that he wants. Like he really wants Darren Till to win so he can fight him. Because that would be a very fun fight. Because
Sean Strickland in that weight class is, he's a good up and comer. He's strong. He can do it.
Yeah, I don't think he beats Izzy, but it would be a fun fight though. Is my point. But outside of that, I don't think he fights Gastelum again, even though Gastelum was his hardest fight. I don't think he's gonna fight Uriah Hall. I think that Derek Brunson, even as good, he's gotten much better. I don't see him beating Izzy.
That's his next fight is Brunson. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, Izzy's next fight is Whitaker.
No, for sure.
You mean after that? Yeah,
he'll beat Whitaker. I think it's his hardest competition, but I think he beats
Izzy. It's gonna be Whitaker.
Yeah, but Brunson looks good, and these are two fighters that have lost to Izzy. I mean, shit, dude. What's it? An 8-fight win streak or something like that? Like he's maybe 5-fight, whatever it is, but he's on a good win streak over some tough opponents. So it's not
Yeah.
like, you know, uh,
Yeah, I just think that it's still. I just don't see it being a hard
I think
fight for him.
his easiest opponent was probably what
Costa. I
no
mean, he dominated him.
no
That was like a. I don't even think
maybe
Costa.
yeah because like just pure performance, but I don't know. There
I think he went through. I think Costa was one of the easiest ones you've seen him fight.
That's very true. I mean, you just look at his fights and it's like there was never a point where you ever thought he was losing. You know, there was never
No,
a point in any of his, even like
no
Silva.
gas.
Silva, he didn't. Sure. Silva, he didn't even go all out, but there was never a point where I thought
No,
he was losing. You know,
Silva. He carried that fight. He didn't want to knock
it
Anderson
didn't look.
Silva.
Yeah, he looked like he was being very mild. You
No,
know.
he even. They both knew that. Anderson Silva's who he's looked up to his whole life.
Mm-hmm.
That and he even said that he's like I've always wanted to be an Anderson Silva. So when he fought Anderson Silva, he held back. He could have probably put Anderson Silva away. Gastelum was his hardest fight.
I agree.
That's that one where he was
That's
all
true.
fucked up in the face
Yeah.
and he was like, "I'm prepared to die in
Yeah.
here." Like, oh
Yeah.
shit,
I'll
yeah,
I'll
that was
go at.
bad.
Yeah, that's true. That's
So
true.
that was his hardest fight, but I don't see him fighting him again. I think that he has fun fights to watch, but I don't think he has real competition, and that does make. I think that the most exciting is probably either lightweight. I think bantamweight is exciting right now, just because you do have that Jan, Dillashaw, Sandhagen, Font, Aldo, Garbrandt, which could be a a good or a bad fight depending on who steps in there. I think featherweight is okay, but I don't think it's the most. I think welterweight's interesting. I think it's
No, I
gonna
mean, you
also
just
just like Izzy. It's gonna depend on what happens in the Covington fight.
obviously I don't think Covington beats him, but you know the only other person that I think has a chance of coming back up and beating him is Burns, because if you remember that last fight between them, Burns landed some punches on Usman that had him rocked pretty early, and then
Yeah,
obviously Usman did what
I,
he needed to do and clinched him after that. But
I'm not gonna take anything away from Leon Edwards. I think he's
that's
such
very
a good
true.
technical fighter. I think that we'll
I
see
always
when
forget about him because we
when
just
he
don't see him
fights.
fight.
Yeah, when he fights Masvidal, we'll know better.
Hmm.
But like even in that Nate Diaz fight, I know he got rocked at the end, whichever. That was all those rounds were basically 10-8 rounds.
Hmm.
Like it was a dominant fucking performance. And yeah, he got rocked at the end, but that doesn't mean shit. People are like, "Oh, if the fight was longer, Nate would have won." And I'm like, "You don't know that because if the fight was longer, Leon Edward also recovered."
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm
Exactly.
saying? It ain't like he doesn't have a gas tank.
Yeah.
Leon Edwards didn't get gas that whole time. So I think he would be a problem for Kamaru Usman because I know that Edwards also has very good takedown defense, and I think he's a much better striker than Usman, and Usman just has a lot of power.
Hmm.
But I think that he's skilled enough to like at the end of that fight, the problem is like he was dominating Nate Diaz so much that he kind of let his guard down at the end,
I
especially
think
when he
so.
was slapping him. That's what got him rocked. He would not do that with Usman.
Do you think Nate fights Kamzat?
No.
If I'm Nate Diaz, I'm not
I
taking
don't
that
think he does.
fight. You know,
No,
I'm
I
not
don't think
taking
he'll
that
fight
fight.
with him. No, I don't think he does. He doesn't want to get dominated. I think that Nate Diaz wants fun fights, and I think that Nate Diaz fights. He says he wants the
I t-
best, and I agree.
what
But
if
I don't. I think he wants the best when it comes to strikers. I don't
what
think
if
he
we
wants to go to a guy that's going to wrestle him.
what if we see Connor and Nate again?
Well, I mean, Connor says that's got to happen.
What if
So
that's the next fight
that'd be
for
a great
both of
fight.
them?
I think Connor wins that
Where do they
fight.
fight at? What weight class?
Well, they would have to fight at welterweight
Yeah,
because
I was
or
wondering.
catchweight because
I,
Connor or not Connor, but Nate says he's not interested in fighting at lightweight,
yeah,
and it's probably because of his age. He's probably just has a hard time
he
cutting or doing
did.
the
Connor did fine against Cerrone, but I don't think he goes out there and is dominating people at welterweight. He's just too small.
No, I think there's a few top 10 welterweights he could actually compete with, but I don't see. I don't think he definitely can't beat Kamaru Usman. I don't
No,
see him beating Covington. I don't see him beating Burns. I don't see him beating Edwards. I don't see him beating Luque. Definitely don't see him beating Wonder Boy. I don't see him beating Jorge Masvidal. Um, Michael Chiesa, he might beat him. He could probably beat him right now. Neil Magny, maybe. Bilal Muhammad, I think Bilal would win, but I still think that might be one Connor could win. And then Jeff Neal, maybe. But yeah, top five, top six, really. I don't see him hurting on any of them.
I agree.
I don't think he's got so much power. I think he's got so much power, but it depends on his weight class. Obviously, lightweight, even though Dustin Poirier said he's got the most power he's ever felt when he fought, I just still he didn't knock him out, but he did. He could knock him out.
Do you
Featherweight.
think if Connor has always been the UFC golden child, let's say Dustin wins and Connor just takes like a nobody, not a nobody, but like Connor goes out there and fights a
Tony Ferguson.
sure and beats him. Do you try and run it back?
Yes.
I agree. I think you try and run it back.
Because here's the thing. Poirier would say yes to it.
Mm-hmm. I think
Poirier's for that money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
He's a
that's why he
businessman.
took that Connor fight. That's why.
No, it was life changing.
Yeah,
It's generational wealth,
Twice.
is what I like
Yeah,
to talk.
twice.
You know,
Twice he got that
there's a
life-changing amount of money.
there's and I think there's a difference between life changing and generational. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Where like what $50,000 can change your life. You know, when you grow up broke or whatever, $50,000 will change your life. You know, that's generational wealth. Where my children's children are gonna have money now.
Yeah.
You know.
No, I agree. I think he would definitely take that fight. I did see something that was hilarious, and I thought it was just so funny. It was said like Connor or Islam becomes the champion. Connor agrees to fight Islam as long as he gets a rematch with Khabib. He beats Islam, become champion. Then he goes and fights Khabib to beat him. He becomes the GOAT. Okay. That would be really fun.
That's what it would take.
Whatever
You know
happens.
what I mean? Yeah, Connor isn't going to go down as the GOAT. Connor will go down as one of the best showmen of all time.
No, I think he's got. I mean, definitely not the GOAT, but he did have a title.
Oh, he was
real champ.
He was a champ.
Yeah, and he was the first real champ. He broke, he broke a record with that. He's going to be in the record book for it forever. He's got Hall of Famer, definitely. He's done more for the sport than anybody.
Oh, I
he
agree.
brought a lot of people to the sport, so there are things you can't take away from him. But I think that his time is, as that guy, is over. I think
agree.
he still has interesting fights. I believe that Connor, to be honest with you, because I seen this thing where Pacquiao saying that the fight with Connor is happening.
Really?
Yeah. So I think you're going to see.
But he still
Connor,
has another fight in the UFC. He still has to.
He does, but he also is the golden boy. Like,
well, even when he fought
against Jake Paul or something.
Sure. I think you'd even let him do that. But even when he went and fought Mayweather, he was still on contract.
If he loses to Jake Paul, then he is not worth anything anymore.
Sure, but I don't think you're going, dude, go lay down, bro. Stop nibbling at my damn feet. Oh my goodness, this dog. I just don't think that Dana is that hard on Connor. I think like it is his golden child and he would let him do whatever he wants. Like he may not show that in the media, he may not say it, out in public or whatever, but I think when it really comes down to it, he will let Connor do whatever he wants. Cuz we are past the days of, I think with this last loss and the injury, I think people are gonna the casual MMA fan is going to write Connor off. Right now, it's not as exciting, but I think for people who like MMA, know that he can still pack a punch and he can still be out there, and he'll still be a money fight. I think that even if he went out and fought and lost to a Jake Paul, he could come back to the UFC and still sell, however, maybe not as many millions of pay-per-views as he was, but it'd still be a nice fight on a main card. He isn't the top guy anymore, though.
Yeah, but I disagree for one reason, is I don't think that the real fans are the ones that are paying on. It is the casuals. I think Connor more appeals to those people.
Well, I'm saying, I think he loses.
Fans are always the more.
I'm saying he loses the casuals after this last loss. I think he loses more casual fans than he does.
I think he loses
diehards.
Casual fans if he were to. I don't think he lost the casual fans from losing to Justin Poirier, especially or Dustin. I keep calling him Justin for some reason. Dustin Poirier, especially considering, I know the first time he got knocked out, but the second time wasn't a real knockout, right? He broke his leg. So I don't think that he lost casual fans. I think that more hardcore fans understand that he's not there anymore. Casual fans are the one that's going to keep him going. But if he
We'll see.
loses against Jake Paul, I think then the casual fans will be like, "Oh, this guy's just hype now. Like he's all
Yeah.
talk." And I think that's where it'll go. So, but I don't see him doing that. I think that we'll probably see him maybe fight one more time or a couple more times, or maybe he gets another title shot and fights for that. But I think he's probably going to venture more off into boxing and shit like that.
He
And
needs
doing
to.
more of those,
Yeah, he needs to.
doing fights that he knows he
And
can
he
do.
has his own promotion as well, so he can do whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah.
So,
Got
no,
a lot of
I
money.
think it'll be interesting. You know, we got some exciting stuff coming ahead. I think next weekend is a very good telltale on how a lot of these divisions are gonna shake up. You know, we got 3 title fights on the line next week, so you know, we'll see how it goes. You know, we got Rose, Wei Lee, we got Usman, and then we got
Gaethje and Chandler.
Gaethje Chandler. Okay, so not 3 title fights. Why did I think there was 3 title fights?
No, it's just 2.
There was supposed to be 5 title fights. Did someone get pulled?
No, we'll see. But those top 3 are going to be really good. Kamaru Usman, Covington, obviously, Rose and Whaley, and then Justin Gaethje and Michael Chandler. Very excited. Not to take anything away from like Frankie Edgar and Marlon, like Cheeto Vera, or you know, Burgos. I'm not as excited about those. Like I said, I'm more for those top 3 fights. The most actual fight that I am excited. Well, I shouldn't say that. I'm actually pretty equally excited for all of them because Kamaru Usman and Covington, that fight the first time was amazing. So we'll see.
Yeah, I don't think we get that again, but I think we get a good fight.
No, I don't think we get it again either. If you want my honest opinion of how it's going to go, I believe Kamaru Usman's going to knock him out in probably the second round.
We'll give our takes on it later this week, but if I was just calling it right now, Usman wins by knockout second round, Wei Lee wins by knockout second round, and Chandler wins by knockout second or third round.
Yeah, I think Chandler's going to beat Gaethje too.
That's how I go. But Brad, I appreciate you. I think this is just, you know, I think we recorded a little bit longer than we thought, so this might just become an MMA hour. You know, maybe we should just start an MMA hour every week, you know, where we just talk about MMA for an hour. I don't think that's a bad idea, you know. Yeah, I think we were like, yeah, let's go into this, break them down real quick, and then an hour and 15 minutes later. But check it out on YouTube. Make sure you like the video, subscribe for more. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, anywhere you can get your Spotify or your podcast at. And make sure to watch for anyone who's listening to this, make sure you come over to YouTube and check it out. See our beautiful faces.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. All right, Brad, have a great night. Happy Halloween, everyone.